When we think about retirement, we usually think about freedom. We think about the travel, the hobbies, and the time with family. But here's the reality that most people don't want to talk about. Retirement is one of the most financially perilous journeys you will ever take. Why? Because when that paycheck stops, the margin for error disappears. There are silent threats like inflation and living too long that can eat away at your savings behind the scenes. And there are lightning strikes like the cost of long-term care that can wipe out decades of hard work in just a few months. Today, I want to pull back the curtain on these hidden risks, not to scare you, but to arm you, because you can't navigate a storm if you don't know which direction the wind is blowing you. Let's head to the video and look at the real-world threats to your retirement map.
Today, we're going to tackle a really important question. What are the financial challenges that can pop up after you've stopped working? We're diving deep into the hidden risks that can put even the best-laid retirement plans in jeopardy. Think about it. You've probably spent your whole life saving up for this. But is that nest egg of yours really as secure as you think it is? Let's explore the threats that can start to undermine your financial security the moment those paychecks stop.
You know, one of our sources puts it perfectly. Retirement is far from free of financial peril. And that's the thing, right? The goal is freedom, but getting there and staying there means you got to navigate some pretty serious financial dangers that most people just don't see coming.
All right, so let's start with what I like to call the silent threats. These are the ones that don't make big headlines, but they are working behind the scenes, methodically eating away at your savings over time.
And the first one up is inflation. The classic silent enemy. When you're on a fixed income, it basically means your money buys a little less every single year. It's a slow, steady drain on your financial health.
Now, 3%, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, does it? But here's the catch. The real danger of inflation is its compounding effect. Over a 20 or 30-year retirement, that tiny little number can snowball into a massive problem. Let's put some real numbers to this. If you've got a 3% inflation rate every year, something that costs you $100 today will cost you over $180 in just 2 decades. Now imagine that happening to all your expenses. You can see how your buying power gets nearly chopped in half. Okay, now for a weird one, a bit of an ironic twist. We're all living longer, and that is fantastic news, obviously. But from a purely financial point of view, it can actually become a burden if your money doesn't last as long as you do. This is what the experts call longevity risk. You see, the whole game has changed. We're not just planning for a 15 or 20-year retirement anymore. For a lot of us, it's going to be 30, maybe even 40 years. And get this, for a married couple, there's a really high chance that at least one of them will live into their 90s. That can stretch a savings portfolio to its absolute breaking point.
So, to fight back against inflation and longevity risk, your money needs to keep growing. That means staying invested. But, and this is a big but, this is where things get really tricky, because it introduces a whole new and really powerful risk: market timing.
It's called sequence of returns risk, and you absolutely have to understand this concept. It's not your average return over 30 years that matters the most. It's the order, the sequence in which you get those returns. A couple of bad years right at the beginning of retirement can have a truly devastating effect. Here's exactly how it works. The market is down, but you still need to pull out money to live on, right? Well, to get the cash you need, you're forced to sell more of your investments when their prices are low. You're basically locking in your losses and draining the very capital you need to recover when the market eventually bounces back. Let's look at an example. We have retiree A. They get lucky. The market does great in their first few years of retirement. So even though they're making withdrawals, their portfolio just keeps on growing. They're sitting pretty. But now, let's check in on retiree B. They start with the exact same $1 million, withdraw the same amount. But they're unlucky. The market tanks right after they retire. After just 5 years, their portfolio has taken a huge hit, and their long-term financial security is now in serious doubt. And this is the key takeaway, the really crucial point. Getting hit with bad luck early in retirement can dig a financial hole that's almost impossible to climb out of. The sequence of your returns isn't just some minor detail. It can literally be the deciding factor in whether your savings last a lifetime.
So, we've talked about the slow leaks in the market traps. Now let's turn to something that can feel more like a financial lightning strike: the huge, unpredictable cost of long-term care.
First things first, we ought to be clear on what long-term care actually is. We're not talking about a hospital stay. We're talking about getting help with daily activities, maybe at home with an aide or in a facility. And here is the kicker. Your standard health insurance almost never covers these costs.
And the costs, oh man, they can be absolutely staggering. We're not talking about a minor expense here. A long-term care event can, and very often does, wipe out a person's entire lifetime of savings in just a few short years. So when you put it all together, you can see why this is such a powerful risk. You have a high probability of needing it, the costs are astronomical, and most people are completely uninsured for it. It's a perfect financial storm waiting to happen.
Okay, so with all these terrifying risks, are there any solutions out there? Well, yes, but they all involve some pretty big trade-offs. Let's look at one of the most common ideas, buying a guarantee. Annuities often come up in this conversation. They're basically an insurance product. You give a big lump sum to an insurance company, and in return, they promise to give you a guaranteed income for the rest of your life. It's a direct counter to that longevity risk, but that guarantee, it definitely comes at a price. And that brings us to the core trade-off. It really boils down to this. On one hand, you get the amazing peace of mind of a secure paycheck that you can never outlive. On the other hand, the big chunk of money you used to buy that guarantee isn't yours anymore. If you pass away sooner than expected, that money usually stays with the insurance company, leaving less, or maybe nothing at all, for your heirs. So as we wrap this up, the big takeaway isn't that you should buy one specific product or another. Honestly, the most valuable tool you have is awareness. Just understanding the real-world impact of inflation, longevity, market sequence, and long-term care costs, that is the absolute foundation for building a retirement plan that's actually going to work. And that really just leaves us with one final question for you. Now that you've seen the hidden rocks and the surprise storms that can show up on the horizon, it's time to take a hard look at your own map. Is your plan truly ready for the long and sometimes unpredictable voyage of retirement?
But remember what we said. The most powerful tool you have is awareness. Most people fail in retirement not because they didn't have enough money, but because they didn't have a plan that was tough enough to handle the reality of the road ahead. The question I want to leave you with is the same one from the session. Is your current map actually ready for a 30 or 40 year voyage? Have you accounted for the silent drain of inflation or the lightning strike of care costs? If you're looking at your plan and realising there are some holes in the map, let's fix them. You don't have to navigate this alone. Subscribe to keep building your resilience with me. And if you want a professional eye to look at your specific map, reach out via the links below. Stay aware, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next video.